Well, today we're sitting down with Cari Kaufman from the company called Storyteller Wordsmith. Welcome to the show, Cari.
Hey, it's great to be here.
I've got to admit that the name of your business really caught me because I appreciate storytelling. I like to do storytelling, and I like to be in the audience of a storyteller. So tell us a little bit about how that name came to be. Where did that come from?
Well, it's a great question because for a long time when we got into full digital marketing, I almost changed the name of the business. Storyteller Wordsmith came about when I started as a copywriter. And I wanted to, at the time, I went by Cari the Wordsmith, right? And because that's the thing, everybody does it. But everyone that I worked with was like, you're so much more than a person who puts words together. Like, you're telling stories. And that was really a big part of my identity. So I just put the two, I smashed them together. Maybe it wasn't super creative, but it feels really right now. I smashed the two of them together and it was like, yeah, I'm a storyteller, wordsmith, and that's what I do. And when we branched out into web design and graphic design and social media and kind of got out of the content writing and copywriting space, I really worried that wordsmith didn't fully capture everything that we were. But we kind of were in love with it, and so we just kept it. That's where it kind of came from.
Okay, so for those that don't know what copywriting is, what is that?
Thanks for asking. So copywriting is the art, because it is an art, of taking a brand's words and putting them in a way that people can consume them. So either that is on their website, in ads. There's a difference between copywriting and content writing. Content writing is usually like a blog or a longer form piece of content, or even to a certain degree, social media content falls into content writing space. Copywriting typically is what we think of as the brand's message. So the website copy, the copy that you use on your bio, those are copywriting type things.
Okay. So in the world of marketing, I appreciate good marketing. Most people say I need marketing. So it's something like I need air to breathe.
Right.
There's something that they've been told they need and they know they need it. What is it about businesses that you are after? How do you serve them in the whole picture of the storytelling wordsmith?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think people know they need marketing, right? Like they know marketing's what I need, right? But they don't really know what that means.
Yes.
It's that you keep saying that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. That whole business. And honestly, marketing is any type of collateral, and that can be you talking to someone. It can be you sharing a piece of paper with someone or a website. It's any type of collateral that shares your brand's story and message, right? But where we kind of come in and partner with businesses and brands is I really want to get to the beneath the surface, here's my product, here's what I do with it, here's how I help you, that beneath that, because most people don't have a problem telling people what their services are or what the benefits of their services are. Most people have a hard time making the connection between why they started their business to begin with and where they are now and how that looks when they're serving a client. And so that's kind of the story we help tell. We come alongside a business owner and we kind of dig into, it's a little bit of business therapy. We dig into who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, why they do it the way they do it. And then we help them craft a a narrative arc, a story around that so that they can help people see how they fit into their brand. So like a lot of times we help our clients position their clients as the hero of their story versus positioning their product or their service as the hero of the story. So we kind of take a whole different twist on what telling your brand story looks like.
All right. This is starting to sound like business therapy.
It is. It is business therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you say you dig into and ask questions, I know that's not as simple as it sounds.
That's
So
true.
talk a little bit about, that journey that you have to go through with a client to even get to that starting point to help them with this message.
Yeah. So that's another great question, Alan.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. So it's interesting because I think what happens, and this is my take on what happens to business owners as they get into the nitty gritty of business, especially if they're a solopreneur, right? Like, especially if they're a small business and there's one or two people doing all the work, it becomes, you just can't see the forest through the trees. Like, what happens is you forget all the things. You forget why you started the business in the first place. You forget what it is that you wanted to do. You forget the mission behind your business. And you become sort of singularly focused on, I got to sell things. I got to make the dollars. So I'm going to make the widget, and then I'm going to tell all the people about the widget. Well, people don't buy from businesses. We know that. We see it on the day-to-day. Like, they might buy from a big giant brand, but even that, they're buying from someone, an influencer or a celebrity. Like, big giant brands, they don't even buy from brands. They buy from the people that represent brands. So when you start to look at your business, especially if you're a small business, like, it's really important to like understand that people aren't buying from your business. They're buying from you. And so we help get into and reconnect business owners to that. What's your mission? Why'd you start this? What is the story that's back there that kind of led? What's the thread that comes through all of your experiences, all your past experience, all your current experience, and how does that shape the business owner that you are today? Because I know personally, I would not be the business owner I am today without my past failures, most of them, but without my past experiences to color what I am as a business owner and why I do the things I do, and the deeply held perspectives I have about marketing and about why it should be done a certain way. And so we start with a series of questions. I do have a framework I work in. I work in a framework called StoryBrand. And so, and it is very much built around this idea of placing your client as the hero of the story, and you come alongside that hero as a guide versus, hi, I'm Cari Kaufman and I sell writing and and I will do writing and I will write for you. And did you know that I write for you? Versus, that versus like, hi, you know that you need writing. I know you need writing. You're having a hard time getting your message across. Let me help you. Let me show you the way to get your message across. Like, it's a nuance, but it's a shift that helps your clients see themselves and see what you can offer them. It helps them connect to what you have to offer.
This is what I just heard, that you're taking a small business owner, small could be fairly large, but let's just say it's a business owner that is not they're at point A, they're trying to get to point B. In emotion, you're connecting their emotional connection, the emotional connection to their business, and you're re-energizing that. That's what I'm hearing.
That's exactly right. And I think that gets turned off in the daily hustle. I think we get so focused on topical, doing the thing. I got to do the thing, that it just, you get lost, you lose that connection to why you do the thing to begin with. And if you can stay in touch with why, that helps you find who you actually want to talk to. Versus I'm telling everybody that I'm a copywriter. Well, yes, I would copyright for plumbers. If a plumber came to me and said, hey, I need some copywriting, I have written really cool plumbing websites, right? That said, we typically works very specifically with people who have a very specific, unique approach to how they do things. And they're having a hard time expressing what that unique approach looks like.
Yeah, when as a small business owner, when I think about this approach, to me, it sounds exciting, but it also, so I've got a little fear. There's some fear in there. So when you have a business owner that is more fear than, how do you help them through that process?
I think that fear is born out of, I don't want to go out on this limb by myself. I don't want to do it alone. That's where I come in as a guide and kind of take you by the hand and say, okay, well, let me walk you through what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And because I am positioned in the marketing world and have experience on multiple levels with a wide variety of industries, I can often speak into like, okay, well, here's a great example. I work a lot with financial advisors, right? So I can look at someone who's in the financial advising space and say that what you're telling me now about why you do the things you do or how you approach your client discovery is very different than how most people do it. It's a unique approach. Let's market that unique approach, which very much puts you into a place, it puts you in a blue ocean. Like there's a bajillion million financial advisors out there. But if you have a different way of approaching your client, now you're the only one. You're the single financial advisor that approaches things this way. Now all we have to do is go find the target audience that needs that approach. And ultimately, I think it's terrifying because usually that means leaning away from the trends and away from what all the gurus are going to tell you work and away from all of the frameworks that maybe your financial advising company has put into place to tell you how to do things, and away from all the assessments and all the things that they have to give you all the tools, and into what you know works with the perfect client for you. And that can feel really scary. And so a lot of times we just acknowledge that fear and tell people, the first step is often just saying, hey, I know this is scary for you. And I know it feels like a risk, but if I could promise you that you now have shifted into a place where you're the only one, you don't have any competitors now. You're it. Now, is there like is there a way that you have to show up in order? I mean, there's probably an education piece that you have to gap. There's a bridge that we have to build to get to your ideal client, but it changes people's businesses to start to look like that. But it is scary. And I think the biggest part of it is just acknowledging that and then coming alongside that person and saying, okay, yeah, but I'm going to walk with you. I do have a framework, a proven method of getting you out there and building your audience. So while we're not going to be trendy necessarily, we are going to build something that works. So,
yeah, what we've been discussing here is a huge mountain for business owners to get over or to get around or to navigate. How are they going to traverse this mountain?
Right.
So once they get through that process, let's say that we've overcome all of these things and you have a clear vision of what that needs to look like. And they are like, okay, all right, Cari, I'm I'm with you on this. I'm apprehensive, but
Right.
I'm with you. So how then do you take that person through the next part of the journey? What does that look like?
It's different for every business owner. So, I mean, that is something, my unique approach is that I 100% disagree with the templated approach to anything. Everybody's unique. Everybody's business is unique because people are unique and their audience is unique. And so each person needs a unique approach to their marketing. So I think it's hard to answer. Everyone's a little bit different. But most of the time, once we get over the hump of convincing them that the shift in their messaging is going to make a difference.
You're going to survive.
You're going to make it, I promise.
Yes.
Once we get over that piece of the puzzle and we start to enter into what I would call the execution phase, because the therapy phase is very much a strategy building phase. But once we get into the execution phase, we continue to show up as guides. Like we get on phone calls with you when you're looking through when you're trying to put together all your LinkedIn posts. We walk you through that process. I give you all of the systems and processes that you need in order to support the activities that we're looking for. That's one of the things that we do that's very different, because we're not just here's your social media post, or here we're gonna push all this out for you. We very much teach you how to do it. We want you to learn to fish on your own. And then we give you all the operational processes to build it into your business. Now, whether or not you choose to do that is on you, right? I got it built into my business already, but whether or not you choose to implement it is on you. But we make sure you have all of the stuff that you need in order to support the behaviors that we're asking you to do on behalf of your own marketing. Because ultimately, like, that's the difference between how we approach at Storyteller Wordsmith, how we approach marketing versus maybe just any other marketing agency, is we're going to come in, roll up our sleeves, and get super collaborative with you. And we will help shine up your words, polish up what you have. Like, we'll help you polish your stories, but ultimately everything comes from you. Like, we draw all that gold out of you, and then we shine it up and put it out there into the world. But we're not if you want someone who's just going to do it for you and leave you alone and never talk to you, there are other marketing agencies that are out there for you.
Yeah. So, as we've been sitting here talking and going through this whole process of marketing in general and what you do and the whole process of all this, there's three words that keep going through my mind. And this wouldn't be the TrustBuilt Podcast without talking about that. What I'm hearing is the theme around it is compassion, connection, and competency, right? So those are the three things that contribute to building trust, where that relationship that you have with clients is trust building, right?
Yeah.
And it's through, I'm hearing compassion for the business owner, understanding and having empathy for them, connecting to them deep down, what's going on with your business, what do you really want, and the competency of them to do what they are trying to do, and the competency in you and your team.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that journey with trust and how that, as you take clients through this process, and now let's kind of go into, we've launched and we're starting, everything, a new broom sweeps good, right?
Right.
So talk a little bit about the next phase of that journey between you and the client.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love that you bring in this idea of building trust, because that's super critical. It's integral to the way that we approach things. I've worked in agencies before where they didn't place an emphasis on the fact that when a client brings you their baby, because it is their business, is their baby. It's like they've literally birthed it. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into creating a business, and they hand over the forward facing, the face of the business, and say, "Here, I don't know you from Adam, but will you put my brand out to the world?"
Right, yeah.
That is a massive step in faith and trust in our agency, and we don't take that lightly. We take it very seriously. As we kind of go into launch phase and we start to get the voices out into the world, the next step for us is very much, I am equal parts art and science. So the art comes usually in the beginning, although there's a little science in there, and in understanding how to reach your particular audience and where to go to find them. We really believe that if you want to, you can access any audience you want to, but you have to know where they are and show up there. Like the world of digital marketing where you could just build something and your audience would happen upon that something.
The field of dreams.
The field of dreams, build it and they will come, right? Like that world is gone. Like now, if you want to be really effective, especially as a niche business, as a business that has a very unique approach and markets a unique approach to a unique audience, you have to know where that audience is, and then you got to go to that audience and put your message in front of them. And so that's part of the science that happens in the beginning. Then there's the art of just writing the words and making the things pretty, right? And we do that, and I think we do that. I think we do that very well.
Yes.
But then we kind of start to morph into science. So we go after the audience, we find where they're at, we start putting things in front of them, and then a lot of what happens at that point is observe, optimize, like sit back and watch what happens, who is engaging, how are they engaging, is the phone ringing, because that's a whole, like there are a lot of marketers out there that will sell you 12 social media posts a month for the rest of your life that never ever result in the phone ringing. If the phone doesn't ring, then the marketing isn't working, right? You're not talking to the right people, or you don't have the right message. There's a lot that needs to be tweaked. So once we start to launch, that's where we start to like really get into the science behind marketing. Who are we talking to? What are we saying? Is it connecting in the right way? Because there is connection that isn't right, right? Like there is like that whole all publicity is good and publicity is not true. It's not true. So like that's where the science starts to come in. We continually watch the data. We continually watch the
this would be the analytics.
And we're looking to see how things are playing, and looking to see we are also big cheerleaders. So like if you post a LinkedIn post, I'm going to be the first one comment on your LinkedIn post, because I'm like, woohoo, Alan posted a LinkedIn post, but also too, like I'm going to be in there engaging and leveraging my network to help you find your network. So there's a lot of things that kind of come into play there, but the big part is just the sciencey, like taking a step back, observing what's happening, and then starting to draw some conclusions around what those observations are is a really, really important part. And I think that's the final mile where a lot of folks fall down. They get stressed out about, I gotta make this content. I gotta do these things. I gotta have a website, gotta do the stuff. I gotta do the social media. And they get super focused in the churn of that. And they forget that there's a final mile here of, okay, so I did some social media. What topic did people like really rally around? Who is engaging? Are they my target audience? Do I need to take my content someplace else? If you're on LinkedIn and nobody talking, do I need to go over to Instagram? Is that where my people are? So there are a lot of things at play there, a lot of data streams that you kind of have to analyze. And then there is also we never leave the therapist chair, really, the business therapist in us standing by going, no, because the impetus, especially with a lot of solopreneurs who are visionaries, is I put out a post, it's been up for 2 days, nobody said anything. Take that post down. Or that's not working. Or, I got to change everything. And that's the impetus. And so a lot of times in that launch phase where we show up is the calming presence of you got to give it time. You got to let things simmer a little bit. The pot's got to simmer to make the stew. Otherwise the meat is not tender enough. You just keep on, just come on. So there's equal parts of knowing when to change course and knowing when to kind of stay the course and see how things play out. And that's where that kind of business therapist role comes in, where I put on my coach hat and I sit and I'm like, okay, whoa, let's take a minute. So that's how we show up. Yeah. We show up as kind of the artist and the scientist, and then also you get the benefit of a coach in there too.
You mentioned a moment ago, you talked about a visionary. Visionary. So are there other types that you deal with? I know there's all different types of behavioral styles that you deal with. So when you take on a client, do you assess that type?
Yeah, I mean, so back in a former life, I was an executive coach, right? And I was trained in the Myers-Briggs assessment, trained in the DISC assessment. You don't ever lose those tools. I'm sorry to say this, but every person I talk to immediately gets a letter and they immediately get a color. They just do.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That is me mining my past experience to bring a better option, a better experience to you, right? So you would get a coach. You get a fully trained and vetted coach when you sit down with Storyteller Wordsmith. But it is, I would say there are 3 types of personalities we typically run up against. One is the founder visionary, and that's probably the primary that we see. Is the person who is a visionary. They created this business. Usually it's a really great, solid idea, and they just don't have the implementation tools that they need in order to stay the course and get it out there, right? And so that is a lot of times who we see and work with are people who have created no fewer than 25 different products. They're the people that own 25 URLs in their GoDaddy account. They are the people that have multiple trademarks out there because they trademarked every cool little word that they said. They're really, really fun people to work with, but that's who primarily we see a lot. Then you have your very cautious business owner who maybe has been slogging away at this for a long time. They've been bootstrapping it. They're super frugal. They're very analytical. We do deal with those folks a lot, especially in the financial advisor world, right? We deal with those folks a lot. And those folks are they have different challenges because now you got to get them over so you're going to have to invest your money. And you're going to have to put yourself out there. The visionary has no problems putting his face on the screen, right? The analytical person is like, I don't ever want to show up on a video, or please don't tell one of my personal stories, or so they have very different needs, and it's just about quickly kind of assessing them and deciding, okay, so this is the way we need to approach yours.
Yeah, it's interesting talking about DISC styles.
Right.
Obviously, I'm an extrovert, and my wife is an introvert, right? Completely different styles. Like, how did you two even start dating, much less be married 33
Right.
years, right? So when you have someone that is not like you, how do you move them to action? Let's say, like, they come to you. Let's say I am, and I don't know what would be opposite of you. I would assume frugal, conservative, yeah, don't tell my personal life
Right.
type thing. All right, let's just say I'm that way, but I'm convinced that I want to work with you, but I'm extremely apprehensive. And so there's a fine line there that there's going to be an internal struggle, like the duck swimming on the water. It looks like he's not doing anything, but those feet are getting with it.
Yep.
How does that journey work? How can you help me get there?
Yeah, there's a lot in that. I think for the analytical, we lean heavily on our scientific side, right? And I have the benefit of a business partner who is, I'm an extrovert. Well, I'm really not. I'm an introvert who plays an extrovert on TV, but but I can live in the extroverted world and very much survive there, right? And I have most of my life. My business partner, if you never see her, if she never steps in front of a camera, which is interesting because she's an actress, but that's beside the point. If she could just stay in her little corner and make beautiful things, she will be happy for the rest of her life, right? So in some ways, it's nice that we have kind of that yin and yang in our business, and we're able to present that. But for someone who's super apprehensive or really, really analytical and wants the numbers and needs to see progress, the way that we deal, I just switch into my scientific mode. Okay, so here's the data. Here are the numbers. And it's a quick switch that gets flipped pretty quickly in our conversations, because they ask the questions. How much does this cost? What's the ROI? Like, that language is very different and very data specific. How long is this going to take? When are we going to get, what does the timeline look like? It's very specific. So we will switch to presenting case studies. I'll show you people that we work with. I'll show you what we do. I'll give you the data around these things. And usually that helps.
So contribution
helps a lot.
Contribution builds trust with a different type of person.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're still talking trust.
Yes.
Ironic how I keep bringing this up.
Right. It's crazy on the TrustBuilt podcast how you keep talking about this trust thing. You got a thing with trust, Alan. But yeah, I think that it's a different type of trust. They need to feel secure in the numbers, whereas the visionary needs to feel secure that I will understand their vision, right? So they're very different needs, but they're both security based. Like, I need to know that you get me, that you get what I need, and you can provide it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna stay in this path of trust.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I can hang with you.
All right. Here's one that we haven't talked about specifically. All right. So let's talk about character.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Character. Let's say that I have a business and I want to hire you to do it, and let's say there's something that's less than desirable about this business concept. Well, how would you handle that with me?
I'm becoming a direct communicator. I'm high I, right? So I'm the golden retriever. Yeah. And as a recovering people pleaser,
recovering people pleaser.
I will absolutely. There have definitely been times in our business when I have failed to say, I don't know about that one. And I just trudged ahead because I got kind of infected with the Visionaries vision or whatnot. In my more mature, more wise, more demure state as a business owner, I have learned that when my gut says, whoa, pump the brakes, I think you have a problem, I got to say that to the client. So I'm becoming more of a direct communicator. If I have someone, a prospect who has brought us something that I don't think has legs, I will tell them, I don't think this has legs. This is a great example. We have just brought her on as a new client. We have a new client. She is, before she came to us, created a digital course. It's a beautiful course. It's super well done. Like, she has a beautiful brand. She has a lot to say. She has a lot of really great things. However, I just told her straight up when I met with her, like, I don't think a digital course was the right product for you. And I'm not sure that I can sell it. So if that is what you're coming to me for, then I'm not your girl. You're going to have to find someone else. Now, if you want someone to market you, position you, get you in front of the right people, I can do that, but I also don't think that those people are going to buy this course. So, like, I think that is the conversation that I have with people. When someone comes to us wanting to do a podcast, everybody and your brother are going to tell you, if you have a smart idea, that you need a podcast or write a book. You know what? Not everybody and their brother should write a podcast or write a book or have a podcast. I'm just sorry. That's not true. Right. So, like, it happens where people, well-meaning folks, will tell you, oh, you are so smart. You know what? You should capture all of that and write a book or make a digital course so you can get some mailbox money. That is true for a specific group of people with a specific audience. It's not true for everyone. And I won't like, if you come to me and ask, should I do X? And I think you should do Y, I will tell you you should do Y and not X. So it is something that I very much highly value, is not letting, at least saying my piece about not letting you go down a road that I don't think is viable.
So let's go kind of the next phase. Let's say that you've been working with a client for some time. I know in my past, working with people that help me in advertising, marketing, that type of work that they've done for me in the past, I don't know if it's me, the business, or what. There's stagnation that seems that, or a rut. There's that type of world that how do you help them out of that?
Yeah. So yes. And I would be lying if I said that we didn't fall into that sometimes. When you develop, it's like marriage. A business relationship is a marriage, whether people get icked out by that or not. But it's true. It's a relationship, a very close relationship. And I personally don't believe, and I know that there are a lot of marketing companies that do believe this, I don't believe a good marketing company can be detached from the outcome. I think that we have to be attached to the outcome. I have to want you to do as well as you possibly can. I have to want you to sell your course. I have to want you to book more clients, as bad as you want it, in order to go after the right things, right? But anytime you're in a relationship for a while and you're doing work, especially if it's repetitive work, especially when you get into the space of like, content marketing, and we're gonna put 3 social media posts out a week for you. Like, you can easily fall into the churn of it and detach from the relationship part of it. And we have done that in the past. And in fact, you feel it in the content, you feel it in the messaging, you feel it in the marketing, you feel it in the relationship when you're talking on the phone, like, you feel it. So one of the ways that we kind of avoid that is by setting up these content ecosystems. So we build out these content ecosystems. I and probably, I'm not going to say this out loud. No, I am, because I'm on a podcast. I am probably a little undiagnosed ADHD. My brain loves to get into a topic and dig in, like deep into a topic. If I have to stay surface level with you, personally, professionally, topic-wise, content-wise, I don't ever get to access my superpower, one. And two, like, it just lends itself to really stale, really content. Like, it just does. So we develop these content ecosystems where we deep dive into a topic that you're really interested in. And I will go look at every angle that you can possibly look at. Become a subject matter expert on that topic. And I access that superpower of becoming hyperfixated on a single thing. And what that allows us to do is get really connected with you. Usually a founder is also equally hyperfixated on a specific topic. So it allows us to like get into some really deep conversations and learn more together. And that's how we prevent becoming like disengaging and becoming really stale. Is every quarter or so we'll pick a topic and just, okay, tell me all the things you know, like download all your information to me, and then I'm going to go to the web and find all the other information that you didn't know. And then we are going to have one of those wild ass conversations where you're just like, did you know that elephants are like one of the only here. Random tidbit for the day. Did you know that elephants and great whales and human beings are the only 3 species on Earth that have menopause? There you go. Random topic for the day. But like, we do that. Yes. I know that because I have a client who's currently researching menopause, and we are deep diving into like all of the things about menopause. So that's how we do it. There are other people that have other ways, but we find that if you find a topic, you can really re-engage the client in a process of like, oh, I'm excited about this again.
So it's gold mining. There's veins.
Absolutely.
Once you find a vein for gold, and I'm not a gold miner, but the way I understand it is you follow that vein until it gets dried up or you don't get the reward. Then you go find another vein.
Yeah. It's duck hunting, right? I mean, like you go to where the duck are.
Right.
Ducks with an S. You go to where they are, and you like, and you hunt that space, and then you go away and you let them kind of populate. Right. Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah. And it allows us to find out more about our clients, because inevitably when you're talking about those things, they're going to share stories with you, which usually people don't even think of. They don't draw the connection between I do this thing over here and, oh, that actually goes back to my very first job when I did X, Y, and Z. Like, they don't draw those connections, but they'll tell you that in just a random conversation. And we pick up those pieces and create content out of them. Okay.
Last part of this that I've actually been wanting to get to this.
Okay. I'm ready.
This is, all right, in using a sports analogy, a touchdown, right? So when you're on this journey with a client and you scored, right? Whatever that what does that look like? How do you know that we've made a touchdown and we are going to high five this? What does that look like?
Well, I believe in scoring a lot in a game. I believe in high scores. It looks like a lot of different things. So one, the scientist in me is going to set specific milestones along the way that we celebrate. First downs. Right? We're going to celebrate every single first down. We're going to chest bump it out. We're going to fist bump. We're like, yeah, first down, right? But when we get to a touchdown, one, it's a lot of times, we will see either the client didn't recognize it as a touchdown, like they were just because they got their head down, keep going, all that, or we didn't recognize it as a touchdown, and the client comes to us and says, hey, did you realize we made it? We did it. Oh my gosh. So I think the biggest thing is for us is celebration, is like, okay, we're going to take a minute and pause and look back at all the hard work that we've done to get here. And then the scientist almost immediately kicks in, and we're going to go back to the film room and we're going to watch the film and we're going to figure out, how did we get there? What were the steps that got us? Where was the first, every first down along the way? What was the path? What were the plays that we ran to get there? And how do we recreate that on the field again? And ultimately, that's what sets us apart, is that we are constantly looking to we don't just stop at the first touchdown. We want to continue to create systems and processes that allow us to make more touchdowns. And we're looking back and going, okay, what were the pieces? What were the steps that we took? And because I'm a storyteller, I even go back further than that and look at, okay, what was the training that we did that got us to the steps that we took that got us to there? And that allows us to really create repeat experiences in the end zone.
Yeah. This has been a great conversation. We've talked about storytelling, which I think is fantastic. We've talked about duck hunting and football. We didn't talk about bacon. We haven't talked about that yet.
I can talk about bacon. You want to talk about some bacon? Tell me about bacon, Alan.
We talked about making the bacon,
No,
right?
Right.
Fun.
Dinner. All right. Yep.
Thank you for being on the podcast today. This has been a great experience. So if there was one thing that you would want somebody who was listening to the whole thing, if there was something that they could take away, that you would hope that they would take away from this, what would you want them to walk away with?
I mean, I think the thing that I really want people to know about, especially business owners, is that one of the things that we feel really passionate about is that small business owners deserve really good marketing. They deserve people who will pick up the ball and carry it into the end zone for them, for lack of better terminology. They deserve someone who is going to take care of their vision and take care of their brand and help them speak with their unique voice, because I think that sometimes that's a disconnect too. Like, they just think they have to show up a certain way and they don't realize that they can show up as themselves. And I think that is what I really want people to know, is that there are marketing agencies out there that will take care of you and take care of your business and take care of your brand, and you deserve that. And you really deserve to find the right one. And ultimately, the right one is someone who understands your story and has the compassion for your story that you feel is appropriate and will take care of it.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.